what's up? I'm Vanessa. Yeah, this is my first video in English, but there will be a Chinese subtitle, so just turn it on if you need. So this video is about 6 safety tips that actually solo traveling is safe for female travelers. As an Asian girl growing up in a traditional Asian family, our parents always tell me that
it's very dangerous for a girl to travel out in the night.
But I'm a very rebellious girl, so like since I was small, I hang out to a lot of places, and eventually after I grow up, I started my first solo trip to Prague in 2022, and that was really great. So after my experience in Prague and also my solo trip in Osaka, Japan, I have generated 6 safety tips for all travelers, especially females, to travel safely on your first solo trip. As a travelholic girl with very tight budget, I can let you know that actually there's a lot of ways to let your solo trip more affordable and of course safe at the same time. So let's go. So the first tip is to share your live location with your family or friends. The app I use is Google Map, and they have a really cool function is that you can share your live location with whoever that has a Google account. You just need to share a link to them and they can know your live location on their own Google Maps. So you don't need to like tell your parents like every 10 minutes,
where are you now?
And they can know your location whenever they want to check on you. They can check the Google Map itself. And also it's a really kind of safe protocol just in case you're lost or your phone is out of battery. Your family can know your location and help you to find some help. And touch wood, if you're in some dangerous situations, your family or the police can also know your location immediately. So this is a really safe protocol. You might think that
all of it might cost a lot of battery when my phone runs out of battery during my trip.
But I can tell you that it's actually totally fine. For me, it feels like the battery level is the same if I turn on the Google Map sharing location function. So it is a really simple step, but it's really safe for you to do so. So no matter you're traveling on your own or you're traveling with other friends, it's also safe to share your location to someone else so that you can have help immediately just in case you're needed. So the second tip is to choose a safe and a cheap place. It's really hard to control what kind of people you can encounter. Like of course there's a lot of nice people in some dangerous region, but there's also like dangerous people in safe region. But I would say if I have to choose another location to travel on my own, I would definitely choose a safer location. For example, in my experience, I think like Japan, Korea, Taiwan, and some European countries like Prague and also London is actually really safe to travel on your own. And most of them are very cheap except London. Yeah, in my experience. So like in these locations, there are usually more people around in the city. So just in case you have any risk, you can shout and someone will hear you. Also, budget is a really important factor to consider when you're deciding a travel destination, especially for accommodation. If you are traveling on your own, you don't have anyone to share your expenses. Sometimes it's more expensive, so it's better to do thorough research to know that actually this location has a lot of like cheap accommodations for you to stay and relatively safe. And also the internet speed is another factor to consider. If you are traveling on your own for the first time, it's always better to go to a place with fast internet. If you're lost or you want to search for more information for your next spot, you can always search online immediately. You don't need to worry that
I am lost but I cannot connect to the Google Map,
and that is really dangerous. You can also contact your friends or family if you have any dangerous situations, just in case. So always find a place with secured or like stable internet connection. The third tip is to choose the accommodation with proper security, because I think one of the most biggest risks for you to travel alone is that some people might follow you to your hotel or accommodation, and that is really dangerous. And I do saw a lot of news saying that people who live alone or tourists who travel alone are followed by strangers, and that is really dangerous. So to prevent this situation, it's always better to choose an accommodation with like front desk security or facility notice that you need to like tap your card before entering the hotel, and that's just much safer. When I traveled to Prague, I chose an Airbnb, but it's not just a normal flat in a like residential area. It's actually a service apartment in Prague, and they have the tap card system, and also they have a front desk staff over there. So just in case there's some suspicious people following you, they can notice it and to prevent something bad happen. So this is very important. The fourth tip is to do thorough research before your trip. If you are traveling on your own, you need to care for a lot of things when you're traveling. You need to look for like the routes, the transport. There are a lot of things for you to worry about. So it's better for you to do thorough research beforehand to know that which district is more dangerous. Especially in the Europe or like in America, there's a lot of dangerous places which is just few streets away from like tourist spots, and you might accidentally enter those very dangerous or high crime rate areas. So to prevent yourself from encountering some dangerous situations, it's always better to do thorough research beforehand and plan your routes to avoid those dangerous areas. For those spontaneous person, I know it's really hard to have a plan beforehand and follow that plan throughout your trip, but just keep in mind that which districts are more dangerous and try to avoid it. It's good for your safety, and also it's good for your overall trip experience. You don't want to meet some like very weird people on your trip to ruin your mood, right? So it's always better to do thorough research beforehand. The fifth tip is to go back to your hotel before the sky darkens. Of course, if your hotel is located in some like crowded locations, there's a lot of people, even though it's night already. It's the best situation as the streets has a lot of people. It's more safer to walk on the street. Touch wood, you have any like dangerous situations, you can shout out for help immediately. But if your hotel is not located in crowded streets, it's better for you to go back to your hotel before the sky darkens, because it's very easy for people to kind of follow you and you might not be able to notice it, and that is very dangerous. And also you might get lost at night more easily than days, because the street might look different at night because like you cannot see the buildings around your hotel clearly, so it's more easily for you to get lost. So it's better for you to go back to your hotel before the sky darkens. The good news is summer is a better season for you to travel to no matter what countries. When I traveled to Prague last summer, I went there in May. The sunset is like around 8 p.m. So actually when the sky totally darkens, it's already 9 p.m. So usually I have a lot of time to hang out around even after my dinner. So if you want to enjoy the city more and to spend more time outside, you can consider to travel in summer because the daytime is much longer, which means that the safe time to travel or to hang around is even longer too. And the last tip is to stay alert and say no when necessary. One of the most attractive point about traveling alone is to meet like new local friends. It's always good to know more about a culture when you know someone who actually lives there and know all the culture or languages. It's really good, but you always need to stay alert and don't tell anyone if you are traveling alone or not, unless you really kind of know that person or you guys have some common friends. It's really dangerous if someone knows you are alone. When I traveled to Prague last year on my own, I actually encountered a kind of dangerous situation, but I was really lucky that I get out of that. When I was finding a location of the park I wanted to visit, I got lost. It's an area that doesn't have a lot of tourists on the street, and it's a totally new area for me. I was a bit lost. I was looking at my Google map and I was like wondering where should I go, and then there's a man who came up to me and say like, oh, I know here, like I can go with you, and I was like, okay, thank you. And on the way, I'm not sure that if he is really guiding me to the correct location, so I keep my Google map on to check if I'm going to the right direction. And when we almost arrived at the park, fortunately there's more and more people around me, and he suddenly say like, do you want to visit my home and have a cup of tea? And I was like, no. I pretended to be very calm, and my face is like, it's okay for me like this. In my heart is like, oh my god, no, please no. So you have to stay calm at any time and stay alert. Don't think that saying no is very rude or something like that. It's protecting yourself is very, very important. And don't let anyone know you're traveling alone. Also, there's more and more people around me. So he was like, okay, fine. And he left. And that was really, really lucky. So always stay alert and say no when necessary. And don't let anyone know that you're traveling on your own. So here are the 6 tips about how to travel on your own safer. I think actually solo trip is much more interesting than you thought. Some people may think that,
oh, it's really boring to travel on my own, like I don't have a lot of people to talk to.
But I think it's a really, really good experience or opportunity for you to know more about yourself, what you actually want, what do you actually like, and to train your adaptability and how to be a more independent person. And I think it's actually not difficult to travel alone. The more difficult part is how to begin planning it and how to get out of your comfort zone and take the first step. If you want to try to travel on your own, you can choose some location near to your hometown, maybe some location with common language that you know, so it's more easy for you to communicate and everything will seems more familiar. It feels safer. But once you have started your first solo trip, I'm sure that you will never go back. So thank you for watching my video. This is my first English video. Oh my god, I was so nervous. Okay, thank you for watching my video. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and share to some of your friends who want to start their solo trip but don't know how to start or are still worrying about like if it's safe or not. Just let her or him watch this video, okay? Thank you. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.